Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kevin Polito. I'm the Neighborhood Affairs Division Director at the City of Miami Beach. Thank you all for joining us as we have our second required community meeting for 1250 West Avenue. Before we get started, as we always do, just want to recognize our elected officials that are joining us. A big thank you to Mayor Stephen Miner and his Deputy Chief of Staff, Blake Govan, as well as Commissioner Tanya K. Bott. I saw we also have Commissioner Joe Magazine. And I also saw we have Kara Petrella from Commissioner Alex Fernandez's team and his office on, so thank you so much. So in today's presentation, we're going to hear from the applicant, then as well as Mr. Michael Belush from our planning department. I'm going to ask Michael to go first and just give us a quick overview of why we are hosting today's meeting. Again, this is the second community meeting. If Michael, you could touch on next steps on where this application is going, and then we'll hear from the presentation from the applicant. Michael?
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. And good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Belush, Planning and Design Officer with the city's planning department. Today's meeting is step 5 in a 6-step review process. This is the city's second community outreach meeting. This process is required for any proposed increase in a property's maximum FAR, which stands for floor area ratio, and represents the maximum square footage that may be constructed on a property. After tonight's meeting, the proposal will be reviewed again by the City Commission on May 21st and June 25th. That I'll turn it over to the applicant for the presentation.
Great, thank you so much. So with that, I'll invite the applicant. I think I see Melissa, you turned on your camera, so you can go ahead and take it away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Tapinas. I'm representing 1250 West Avenue Owner LLC, a subsidiary of JDS Development. I'll be sharing my screen now, so hopefully everyone can see it. Let's see. All right, excellent. So I'm hopeful that everyone can see my screen. Get this out of the way. Excellent. So I'm joined by Michael Stern, the founder and principal of JDS Development. He's the developer of the Monad Terrace in Miami Beach, as well as many other prominent buildings in the city of Miami, and of course, New York City. I'm here also with my colleagues, Nick Rodriguez, and together we'll answer any questions that you may have. As you're, I'm sure, aware, we've presented an application to establish an overlay zone at 1250 West Avenue that will facilitate development of an exciting new project to replace the existing deteriorating condo building. Since we started this process last summer, the goal has always been to create a building that elevates the West Avenue corridor and is less impactful to its neighbors than what can be developed at the property today as of right. Throughout this process, we have solicited input from neighbors and have adjusted our development program, including significantly reducing the proposed height and FAR and prohibiting outdoor restaurant seating. This project represents an important opportunity to add a new building that will increase values along West Avenue, just as the Monad Terrace has, as well as permanently eliminate the bikini hostel nuisance from the neighborhood, and last, lead to the completion of the Baywalk throughout the city of Miami Beach. Importantly, the proposed building is no taller than the 3 other existing buildings in the immediate area and is also significantly less dense. We feel that we've reached a point where this application is a true win-win for the neighborhood, the developer, as well as the city. So what you'll see on the screen is a portfolio of JDS's work in New York City, the city of Miami, and Miami Beach. The projects are all known for being extremely high quality architecture within challenging sites in an urban context, such as Monad Terrace in Miami Beach, as well as the American Copper Building and the Walker Tower in New York City. More recently, JDS has been busy developing in South Florida, including entering into public-private partnerships with local governments, much like the one that we are proposing for 1250 West Avenue. Specifically, JDS has partnered with the city of Miami to reimagine Southside Park in West Brickell and build a world-class fire station for the city on Southwest 2nd Avenue at the old Firehouse 4 property. JDS has proven that it can deliver high-quality development and public benefits and intends to do so with this project. So first, the property is the subject of the overlay is 1250 West Avenue. We've also highlighted the Bikini Hostel site here because, as we all know, it's a key part of our public benefit package. Specifically, it's eliminating the Bikini Hostel, which has really plagued the neighborhood for a number of years. Most recently, it's a homeless shelter that continues to grow in size and intensity. But even before the last 10 months that it's been a homeless shelter, it was a nuisance to the neighborhood as a really out of control youth hostel with a 5 a.m. liquor license. So as long as the existing use of the property remains and its grandfathered 5 a.m. liquor license, it will continue to be a nuisance to this neighborhood. So we feel that this overlay proposal has a lot of merit outside the generous public benefits proposed by JDS, but the opportunity to permanently erase this nuisance at no cost to the city of Miami Beach and its residents is something that cannot be ignored about this proposal. So this is the Alton Beach overlay boundary. It only includes the 1250 West West Avenue property. And I'll turn it over to Michael Stern. Michael?
Thank you, Melissa, and good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank everyone that's taken time to attend today, including all the elected officials and city staff. We appreciate all of the feedback we've received in our many meetings and discussions over the last few months. We have engaged in a very extensive community outreach process with various stakeholders and will continue to be open-minded to taking input. We've made adjustments to date as a result, and we'll continue to stay open-minded. Our proposed project, which started at approximately 420 feet in height, has been reduced as a result of those discussions to 330 feet in height, which is now shorter than the building almost directly adjacent to it, the Waverly, and shorter in scale than other buildings along the corridor, like the Flamingo and the Floridian, and fits the context of the neighborhood. As I have said previously, it is a neighborhood I know very well and care deeply about, having developed Monad Terrace directly adjacent to the subject site. And I just want to start by addressing a couple of items that came up in the last few days leading up to this meeting, and some which were mentioned maybe earlier at commission meetings. So first, we were burdened with the problems at Bikini Hostel, an issue not of our making, but impacting the community greatly. This project's proposed public benefit package will permanently eliminate the homeless shelter and finally complete the long-awaited Baywalk project, which leads us to another issue I want to address. There was an email by a group opposed to the project that was sent earlier today that was a bit misleading, and I would like to just correct the record. And to be clear, we respect this group and its opinions, and I have spent significant time with them in a transparent and open series of discussions over the last several months. However, they circulated an image earlier today by email that depicted a version of the project that was much taller, but has since been reduced to a height that is lower than many of the buildings around it, despite having the correct image available for its use. Also, the text of the email said, "Do not let developer cronies or those that receive undisclosed financial benefits to drown out the average civic-minded neighborhood residents." So I just want to address transparency. And while we may ultimately disagree on some issues, we don't believe that spreading misinformation or demonizing those with differing opinions is appropriate. We have run a very transparent process, and despite having no obligation to do so, elected to voluntarily make a disclosure prior to the last commission meeting regarding an agreement with one of our neighbors. This agreement is a very typical one that covers mitigation for potential construction impacts, such as noise, dust, crane overswings, etc. This is a rather typical arrangement, and it's the same type of agreement that we made when we constructed Monad Terrace a few years ago. For an example, coming to just such an agreement with the Waverly, the very building that some of the opponents reside in. This is a red herring by those who oppose all responsible new development, such as this one, that is respectful and contextual. And staying on the theme of transparency, we've been working with city staff to provide the data that they requested to perform evaluation of development rights before second reading. We remain confident that the extensive public benefits we are providing are commensurate with the proposed scale of the overlay. So let's start with the slide in front of us, which is what's on site today. The existing structure was built originally as a healthcare facility, and as such is one of the only structures with no balconies. It is in very bad physical condition. It's rapidly deteriorating. It currently has 238 units, and short-term rentals are allowed in the zoning district. Moving to some photos of the existing conditions. Some of those conditions include a rotting foundation and seawall, systemic mold issues, rusting piping and pipe risers, and many other issues. It is beyond its useful life and is financially unfeasible. And as a result of these issues, the carrying costs in the building, if you can go to the next slide, have exploded over the last few years, rising 100% since COVID, and expected to rise at least another 55% in the next few years, assuming nothing major breaks, so that number can go up even higher. The current owners are financial prisoners to this building at this point, and buyout is the only viable option. This is a very unique circumstance specific to this building, and is not the case with any other building on this corridor in the same way. This is not a case of displacement of residents. Rather, it will allow the current owners to get an above market price and stay in the neighborhood if they so choose, and be freed from the burden of a building that is ultimately doomed. So let's go to the next slide and talk about the development options for this site. On the left is what an as-of-right massing would look like, and on the right is our proposed development plan, which we think is superior. So if you go to the next slide, we'll dig into the as-of-right option a bit. This results in a building that is relatively squat with minimal setbacks on all sides and creates a very undesirable wall-to-wall condition with the two neighbors, where you'd have a wall over 300 feet long directly next to the neighbor's setbacks. We are not arguing that an as-of-right project can't be done nicely. We think we did so with Monad Terrace in a very different era of construction costs and land costs, but the massing would have a pretty devastating effect on the adjacent buildings in terms of light and air. It would create issues for the neighbors and at the street, and is far inferior to the proposed building, which we'll dig into next. So as I mentioned, we've done quite a lot of community engagement, and we've been listening to both the community and the elected officials who asked us clearly to avoid creating a new height precedent, which we have done. So we started at roughly 420 feet, which is the image to the left, and we've now brought it down to 330 feet, which is below the scale of at least 4 other buildings in the neighborhood, including the one almost immediately adjacent to it, the Waverly, which you can see in the background. Our proposed development consists of an elegant tower with a highly detailed tiered podium with curved travertine, teak, and stainless steel accents. We've eliminated the parking podium, creating a very lush landscape garden space along West Avenue, and this will allow the building to greet the street in a much friendlier way. We've minimized the footprint of the tower and set it back as far as possible from both the street and the bayfront, which I'll show you some slides of in a minute. Importantly, we are proposing a maximum of only 125 units, down from the current 238 units, and the maximum allowable 286 units under the zoning. The units will be family-sized, and short-term rentals will be expressly banned. Critically, the real-world impacts to the neighbors, which is density, not height, is being reduced substantially and will result in less traffic, water, and sewer demand. So we're going to go to the next slide, and we'll show some of those impacts. Let's go. This is just an image of the West Avenue frontage on the top, and then an image from the bay on the back. So let's look at some of those real-world impacts. Thank you. So this slide highlights the differences between the as-of-right and the proposed tower setbacks for the portion of the building up to 50 feet in height. So the dark gray in the image on the right is the 50-foot high section of the building, and same thing for the image on the left. So only a 42-foot waterfront setback in the as-of-right and a 20-foot street setback, as opposed to respectively 140 feet at the water and 130 feet at the street for the 50-foot high section of the podium. Let's go to the next slide. And this slide is a pretty critical one that highlights the setback conditions for the tower above 50 feet. which is most impactful to the immediate neighbors. We have minimized the tower footprint and placed the building where it has the least impact on the neighbors and preserves light and air for them and avoids overwhelming the street with shadow or an unsightly parking podium that you see sometimes along this corridor. So the front setback as of right is 50 feet in the as of right version, and we are proposing 197-foot setback, which really helps with shadow and light and air impact. And on the rear, similarly, 63 feet as of right and 140 foot is what we are proposing in our scheme. Let's go to the next slide. So here's a typical as of right building on the left with a parking podium and a long wall that's created next to 1228 West Avenue. You can see that on the right side, we have a tiered podium opening up light and air for Monad Terrace, and a much shorter compact footprint allowing both buildings to breathe. Let's go to the next slide. Similar impacts for Monad Terrace. This is a view from one of the balconies of a Monad Terrace unit along West Avenue. You can see how the as of right condition completely overwhelms the view, and the proposed building is much more respectful to the existing conditions at both Monad and 1228 West Avenue. Let's go to the next slide. Here's a ground floor plan that shows that we've been very thoughtful about how we're thinking about laying it out and the impacts on the neighbor. The ground floor plan places a landscape space at the street and brings the drop-off and loading into the middle of the property and away from the street, and buries the parking below grade, which is a great expense to us, but we think is the right thing for the property, similar to what we did at Monad Terrace. We're also bringing the loading all the way in to keep the loading away from the street. And I'd actually just like to take a moment and bring up the retail space on the site, which you'll see in pink, which has been the focus of some recent discussions we've had this week, particularly with members of Sobe West, who have expressed some concerns about potential impacts if a restaurant went into the space. We previously worked with them to eliminate outdoor restaurant seating. We will be focusing our efforts before second reading over the next few weeks to work with all the stakeholders to understand what is desired for the retail space. And we'd like to take input on that and study if further restrictions or limitations on uses should ultimately be included in the plan. You have our commitment to take that feedback and make sure that it is implemented. Let's go to the next image. And this is an image of that drop-off zone that I mentioned. This is what the arrival will look like, pulling traffic off of the street and leaving plenty of space for cars to queue, so there'll be no traffic impact on West Avenue. Let's go to the next slide. And this is a cross-section showing that that compact tower footprint placed towards the middle of the block opens up those light and air conditions that we want, with that tiered setback, 140-foot setback on the left at the water, and 197 feet to the tower at the street. So it's a much better condition for both the waterfront and the street. And with that, I'll go back to Melissa. Oh, sorry, one more image. The building in context with the neighborhood, which just shows you how seamlessly it blends into the existing built fabric of the neighborhood. As I said earlier, we are not creating a new height precedent, but respecting what's there, but still delivering an iconic architectural gem that we can all be proud of. And with that, I'll go to Melissa.
Thanks, Michael. So at 330 feet, our proposed tower height fits the existing built context of West Avenue. Three other buildings, as Michael mentioned, are taller than our proposed project. These are significantly more dense and bulky than the proposed tower. You'll see on the screen the Waverly South Beach at 335 feet tall, built in 2001. The Floridian that is 337 feet tall, and the Flamingo Center Tower at 338 feet tall. The proposed building is nearly 200 feet shorter than 5 Park, enforcing the short, squat development mandated by the current code is not beneficial to the corridor, and it's particularly damaging to 1228 West Avenue and Monad Terrace. We're not asking to set a new height precedent. We are only asking to acknowledge the existing context and allow the zoning to match what has been developed along this corridor for the last 20 years. The proposed legislation does several things, including limits on proposed uses. It limits it to only residential and accessory uses with no outdoor restaurant seating. The idea to eliminate the outdoor seating was a concession based on neighborhood comments. This also allows for the floor area bonus up to a maximum of 5.75. We have come down from 7.75. The third is we are seeking 330 feet, as I mentioned, in line with the Waverly, so as to not establish a new height precedent along the corridor. This is not at all comparable to 500 Alton, which is 500 feet, or the skyscrapers in Sunny Isles or Brickell, which are up to 1,059 feet. The fourth item is maximum density. We're proposing up to 75 units per acre. This is a 50% reduction in maximum permitted density. The project will even be less dense with only 125 units. Further, the setbacks. We're asking for setback relief to accommodate the tiered pedestal design. We have a much greater front and rear setbacks than otherwise required, but are seeking adjustments to the side interior setbacks to create an enclosed pedestal with a fully internalized circulation. The legislation also includes setback encroachments for architectural features, a streamlined approval process for mechanical parking, as well as the prohibition on short-term rentals, which are permitted at the property under the current zoning today. We retain an urban planning expert to analyze the reduced impacts associated with the reduced density. The reduced density required by the overlay, it leads to a significant reduction in demand for water, sewer, solid waste, and traffic congestion. We are also creating a new green space at the Bikini Hostel site that will become a beautifully landscaped neighborhood park. We also retain an economic expert to prepare an analysis of the economic benefits of the project to the community. There are a number of benefits explained in the report, but the major benefit is a 7.5 times increase in ad valorem property tax revenue by 2030, when the project would be expected to be completed. Additional economic benefits include substantial increases to the city's annual household income and GDP based on the impacts to employment sectors like real estate and increased spending at local businesses. Mont Terrace had a very positive impact on property values in the area, and we expect the same to occur with the construction of this project. Regarding the Bikini Hostel, as you all know, this forms a major part of a public benefit package. Through the development with the city, the developer is committing to the acquisition of the Bikini Hostel property with terms requiring the compassionate relocation of the existing homeless population. They will most likely be relocated to another similar facility outside of Miami Beach, being opened by the same owners as the Bikini Hostel. We'll also be demolishing the existing hostel buildings within 120 days of the effective date of the development agreement. And lastly, we'll be developing a public park at the site and conveying the land to the city. This is an initial concept of what the park could look like. Of course, the park development will need to go through the appropriate design review process with community input, but we are compiling that input throughout these meetings and sharing that with city staff. The development agreement will also include construction of the missing segments of the Baywalk. Although these were partially funded with the GO bond, they're underfunded now and behind schedule. We intend to work with the city to pick up where they've left off in terms of permitting and the required easements from the adjacent condominium buildings. Once permitted, JDS will construct the missing segments of the Baywalk at their sole cost and expense. We know that height and FAR increases generate a lot of passionate discourse among city residents, but there are very good reasons why this project should be approved. Approval of this overlay will lead to the elimination of the Bikini Hostel. Reduced density creates less impacts on traffic and infrastructure, including water, sewer, and solid waste. The enhanced front and rear setbacks result in less impacts to West Avenue and Biscayne Bay. Our overlay takes away the ability to repurpose this property into a short-term rental hotel. The proposed project will significantly increase tax revenue and lead to an influx of positive economic activity that will increase property values and benefit the neighborhood. Our proposed height and FAR is compatible with the other buildings along the West Avenue corridor. Adoption of this overlay will alleviate the unit owner of 1250 West Avenue from the grim reality that they're facing in terms of assessments that are worth more than the value of the units. The overlay results in development that preserves view corridors and allows more air and light to both 1228 West Avenue as well as the Monad Terrace. Approval will result in the completion of the Baywalk that is immensely important to the residents of West Avenue and throughout the city of Miami Beach. Finally, the proposed overlay will result in a truly beautiful building appropriate for the Miami Beach Bayfront. And with that, I'll turn it over to back to city staff. Of course, we'll make ourselves available for any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm going to ask everybody to please raise their hand via Zoom. And as we do with our previous meetings, where you're going to be allotted 2 minutes. We're going to bring up our timer in just a second. Again, please, if everyone could state their name and address, so we could go ahead and allow you an opportunity to speak. Just want to make sure everybody raises their hand now, so that way we have the queue and we could properly know how many people are in line to speak. One thing just to mention, I believe the applicant is going to go ahead and respond at the end of Q&A, unless I think there's something blatantly wrong. So I'll ask you guys if there's anything you want to respond to, so just let me know. If not, we're just going to roll through our Q&A here. Again, just state your name and address. First person is Martin. If you could state your full name and address for us.
Hi, my name is Martin Moeller. I'm a year-round resident of 1330 West Avenue. A few days after the City Commission's first vote on the proposed overlay for 1250 West Avenue, a developer I know said with a laugh, and I quote, "Well, now we know that Miami Beach zoning is for sale to the highest bidder," end quote. Now, I'm sure that that was not the Commission's intention, but you need to know that that is the message that is being heard in the real estate development world. If this developer is allowed to build a project beyond what should be an as-of-right development at 1250 West, no one will believe Miami Beach Authority's future pledges to curb out-of-scale projects. I have even heard one development financier musing already about building 1,000-foot tall buildings in Miami Beach. Now, we all know that the situation at the Bikini Hostel has become problematic, but it's been blown way out of proportion. It's also a problem that can be fixed through a variety of regulatory means. Greenlighting a tall tower for the ultra-rich is an unwise and totally unnecessary response to this problem, a permanent response to a temporary problem. To allow a private developer to bribe the city and reap untold profits from what would be already a profitable project makes a mockery of the comprehensive planning process. The developer has consistently pleaded for, quote, relief, end quote, due to rising construction costs and so on. I'm sorry, but construction costs are one of the fundamental components of development financing. A smart, honest developer knows to work backward from anticipated costs and sales prices to determine an appropriate cost for site acquisition. If this developer is overpaying for this site, that's not the problem of the citizens of Miami Beach. We have made it clear time and time again, both through ballot referenda and community meetings, that we do not want taller buildings in most of South Beach. The city must not allow this developer to game the system. Approve an as-of-right building at 1250 West Avenue and nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Address for us? Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. Hi there, Karina, can you hear us?
Yes. Hello,
Perfect.
can you hear me?
Hey there. Yep.
Hi, my name is Karina Mercado, and I live at 1200 West Avenue. I'm here to express my unequivocal opposition to the proposed development that exceeds current zoning height limits by 150 feet. This is a blatant attempt to rewrite the rules for private profit at the public's expense. Let's be clear, zoning codes are not suggestions. They are a legal framework designed to protect our neighborhoods, our skyline, and our city's long-term resilience. Allowing this kind of exception would send a clear and troubling message that deep pockets can override the law and community will. That is unacceptable. This proposal is not just out of scale, it's out of step with everything Miami Beach stands for. It would stress our aging infrastructure, worsen flooding, and accelerate the displacement of working families. And at a time when sea level rise is already threatening our future, we cannot afford to greenlight massive overbuilds that ignore environmental realities and community needs. If this commission approves the 150-foot height increase, it's not just a policy failure. It's a betrayal of public trust. I urge you, do not sell out the city's future to developers seeking special treatment. Uphold the zoning code. Uphold your responsibility to the residents of Miami Beach and the people that voted you in. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Next up, I have Laura C. Laura, if you could say your full name and address for us. Oh, sorry, Laura, we can't hear you. If you could just check your connection there. I have Eric Marshall. If you could state your full name and address. Laura, I'm going to come right back to you.
Sure. Eric Marshall, I'm at the Waverly. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. I would just, every time I always hear the presentation, Michael, it's 330 feet. Will that be 330 feet with tax and tags so that it really will be below the Waverly? I guess that would be a question I'd like answered because I see it as 330. I'm just wondering when I look at the monad, there's like 30 feet extra on top. Is that the same? Is that the same plan here or not, or is it going to be that level that I see there? That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So at the end, and I'll let the team to just jump in, but we're going to answer all questions, or they're going to answer all questions at the end. To clarify that, Laura C., if you could just state your full name and address, I'm going to go back to you. It's going to send a request.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Laura Cataract. I'm a resident of 1228 West Avenue. I live on the north side of 1228 West Avenue, so this project will be right outside my windows. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you pass this project, make it go forward. We have a situation here where we are living across from a homeless shelter. It's always been bad with the Bikini Hostel. Now it's just worse. And, you know, we can't continue to have our property values going down because of the Bikini Hostel. It's a travesty that the residents of 1228 West Avenue have had to put up with the broken down West Avenue street, no bay walk, and now a homeless shelter. We are never going to be retrieve our investments in our homes with this type of situation. This new project, this tower, will preserve our views, will give us light and air that we will not have with the as of right development, and he will get rid of the Bikini Hostel. Those of you that don't live close to this place, you have no idea. There were 7 calls already over the weekend and into today with ambulance calls. The ambulances are over there 3 times a day for God knows what. And I don't know how people that don't have a solution for the Bikini Hostel at all can really talk about this developer and not wanting this project. What is your plan for the Bikini Hostel? If you don't want him to build this tower, then what is your plan for the Bikini Hostel? Nobody has a plan for the Bikini Hostel. This is the problem. And me and my neighbors should no longer be in a position where we're losing property value and we're losing everything we have in our homes because of this place. It needs to go. And like James Carville said, I'm paraphrasing, it's about the Bikini Hostel. That's what it's about. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next up, we have screen name is Mike. If you could say your full name.
I'm Mike Dorsch. I'm at 1330 West Avenue also. I disagree entirely with the person who spoke before, because there are a billion ways to deal with the hostel other than granting someone the right to build a monstrosity of a tower across the street. Regarding transparency, you know, the hostel wasn't a homeless shelter until these guys showed up. And so maybe they can be transparent with us, since they like to have transparency, and tell us exactly what their role was in helping to bring homeless people to that site in Miami. They also give us another red herring talking about short-term rentals, because 1250 has a existing restriction against short-term rentals. So it's not an issue. It's just another red herring. As to the design, comparing to Waverly and other towers is neglecting the fact that zoning changed after those projects were built. And the reason was because they didn't want them built again. Five Park got a big exception because, but they gave a 2-block long park, an entire block wide. JDS wants to give you a 30,000 square foot lot to build a solid wall of a building. If Five Park was a mistake, what do you think 1250 is? And they say it's going to really help the Miami Beach skyline. Well, I don't think so. You know, if you look at what that building will look like from the water, it's a big flat slab. You know, we got plenty of those we can look at across the bay. You know, they're as of right development. They keep showing us this block of a building. They wouldn't build that. Nobody would build that. In fact, there's probably about 25 other designs that you could build that would be better looking and probably more marketable. You know, using, this slab of a building just doesn't work. I mean, I think these guys are way off base. I'm with my neighbors in Muller and whatnot, saying that this project should be tossed out the window. It doesn't.
Thank you so much, Mike. We gave you a few extra seconds there. I'm going to go next to Jessica Davis. Jessica? I'm going to ask to unmute there.
Hello?
Hey there, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Great. My name is Jessica Davis. I live at 1228 West Avenue. I have been an owner here for over 23 years. I am also the vice president of our board. We support the tower design because it will provide, again, more light and air and will maintain the views for our residents. More importantly, I find it very disingenuous, all these people who keep saying the Bikini Hostel is temporary, there's a billion solutions. I have yet to hear one solution for ridding us of the Bikini Hostel, the homeless shelter that it has become, except for Mr. Stern's proposal to buy it and knock it down. WAVNA has no solution for it. WAVNA never came to our building to ask us, one of the largest stakeholders, what we wanted. They claim to care about the residents of West Avenue, yet they have come up with no solution for ridding us of the Bikini Hostel. And they really don't seem to care about the fact that our property values, all my neighbors' property values, not just 1228, the buildings across behind the Bikini Hostel, are going down. We want to maintain, quote, the middle class in Miami Beach. How are we doing that when our property values keep getting devalued because of the Bikini Hostel? This is not protecting the residents of West Avenue. We want the Bikini Hostel gone, we want the Baywalk, and we want a beautiful building next to us. And having one right on top of it is not what we want. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jessica. Next, we're going to ask you to state your full name and address for us. I have screen name is iPhone. I'm going to ask you to unmute there.
Hi, this is, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this is Eyal Horowitz. I live at 1011 West 48th Street. I spoke in the previous. I think when you're looking at issues, right? You have obviously the deteriorating building, and obviously the homeless shelter across the street. I think it's very important to take a look at who the developer is, and when a developer comes in and has already demonstrated the professionalism, right? And the care that he has, right, to be able to build such a magnificent building, it doesn't take much to take a look and see he's already developed that, and look what he's going to develop, right? And I personally was actually offended by what the other person said, which is that he said that maybe the developer brought homeless people as a disguise. There's an issue, and we have a developer that has demonstrated professionalism, that is looking to solve two major issues: the issue of people living in a deteriorated building and a homeless shelter across the street. And he's looking to do nothing but good, and he's demonstrated his goodness in this already. Therefore, I am in full support of this developer and this project. There's an issue, and there's a clear solution by someone that's already demonstrated. And so I'm in support of this development.
Great, thank you so much. Next up, I have screen name is Amy's iPhone. If you could just state your full name and address for us, Amy.
Yes, hello, Amy Litos. I'm a resident of West Avenue. And we are selling zoning. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of Commissioner Suarez at the last commission meeting in April, when the commission voted to increase this height to 330 feet plus mechanical. To answer Eric Marshall's question, 330 feet is not the complete height. This developer and architect continue to fail to acknowledge that the residents of the city of Miami Beach, in a referendum vote passed citywide in the early 2000s, voted against these sorts of heights. So to say that this building will be in scale with existing buildings is really disingenuous, because the height as of right is only 150 feet due to that referendum vote that limited heights over 2 decades ago. Also, the developer has pledged to buy Bikini Hostel and to vacate that property. However, that is not going to be a solution to this scourge, which Bikini Hostel has become, although it has increased recently, because the seller has pledged to use some of the proceeds of that sale to purchase another property where they can continue this sort of practice of housing individuals. And within the West Avenue neighborhood, there are at least 13 other locations, including an existing hostel, where this owner of the Bikini could continue this practice. So this is not a solution. We need legislation to prevent this sort of travesty from occurring again. Also, I believe that the developer should have to disclose all agreements made with whether they be other associations, individuals, in an unredacted form, so we know what they have agreed to with others who are pledging their support. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
We hear you.
Hi, my name is Austin and I live in West Avenue, 1250. I honestly support this project, and most importantly, I really want Miami Beach to return back to a safe place. I'm one of those guys who walks West Avenue at 5 a.m. every single day, and it makes no sense to me what's going on at the Bikini Hostel. If it was bad a year or two ago, it's getting even worse. It's not safe, and I support the developer. He's building the Baywalk, which is a plus for everyone here. Yeah, Bikini Hostel needs to go for the safety of Miami Beach and the residents. I honestly live on a daily experience what's going on in there, and the Baywalk, it's needed. I don't hear anybody else either approaching either way. These guys needs to move forward with the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Just confirming everyone can hear me okay. I'm going to go screen name is P. If you could state your full name and address for us.
Hello.
Hey there. If you could just state your full name and address.
Yeah, it's Paul Fusaro, 1250 West Avenue. All these improvements to the neighborhood are really nice, but unfortunately, all of us that will be getting displaced from 1250 will not be able to appreciate all these improvements because we're being priced out of the neighborhood. We were supposed to close in October or November. We still haven't closed. We keep getting a runaround. We agreed to 2024 price. So halfway through 2025, now he wants to build higher. You should have to pay higher too. And I got news for that lady at 1228. Her condo's gonna be the next bulk sale when this one is done. So I don't know what she's talking about. The hospital's not an issue. I walk past there every day for 10 years. I've never had an issue. That's a city issue at all. If it's an issue, it should have nothing to do with us. And you got a lot of hardworking people that live here. They work in the neighborhood. The hospitals, the cops, teachers. They're being forced out, and they will not be able to afford to live in this neighborhood anymore for what we're being paid. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next up, we're going to go to screen name is Brian K. Brian, if you could say your full name and address for us.
Hi, this is Brian Kay, and I live on West Avenue. I'm not here to bash the developer or the need for a new projects necessarily, but I would like the developer to understand that we do have zoning codes that were actually put in place to actually keep the height of our West Avenue buildings within the community desirement. Permitting the increase in height will set a precedent, and I believe will lead to other developers wanting to do the same. I asked the developer to please continue to work with the community to reduce the height. The as of right is the law and should be observed. I think that other people that have spoken and commissioners that are using the Bikini Hostel as an excuse to approve this project is disingenuous. You were elected to solve problems for the city, and that does not mean that you would sell the community desire and our code to allow a developer to unduly enrich themselves. We're getting rid of affordable units. And another individual from 1228 who didn't disclose that they're getting a seawall paid for is saying, oh, our property values. Well, guess what? You're getting rid of affordable units to build units that are going to cost millions to get into. And so you're displacing affordable units. And of course, all of our property values will go up. I'm just going to close by saying that we need to continue to observe what's going on West Avenue. The West Avenue Neighborhood Association is the only one speaking for the residents that don't want to see our neighborhood become Sunny Isles. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Brian. Next person, screen name is Alex. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Yes, my name is Alex Xakoustis.
Hey there.
Hi, I have been living in Miami Beach for the past 20 years, and I'm here today to support the proposal for 1250 West Avenue. I've seen the developer, I've seen what he's building in New York, here in Miami. Everybody has seen Mona Terra, so I don't understand why all this opposition. And I have been reading and listening for quite some time, and I don't understand how people, especially the ones that live in huge buildings like Flamingo, Waverly, Floridian, can oppose to this development. This building is much smaller, less density, less unit, and much bigger setbacks. Overall, it's a much better project. Also, basic real estate facts. The comps will bring all of these apartments' values higher. So all of these homeowners that they're complaining, their units will be substantially more valuable. Anyway, this is something that Miami Beach, about the Bikini Hostel. We have the Bikini Hostel, I don't know for how many years, full of homeless. Nobody has done anything about it. It has not been resolved. And today, this developer, he's telling us that he will remove it. He will remove the homeless. and everybody will be happy. Everybody's complaining about the homeless. Everybody's complaining about the bikini hostel. So let's think about our future. Let's think about our family's future. On another note, the Baywalk. This developer is willing to pay to finish it. Nobody has finished it. Everybody's talking about it, but it hasn't been finished. So we have one of the most beautiful buildings ready to start, resolving the issue of the bikini hostel and the issue of the old 1250 residents that, their building is falling apart. Most of these people cannot even pay. Imagine if you try to repair this building. Imagine if this developer doesn't buy these units. What is going to happen? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Next up, I'm going to go Valerio. I apologize if I mispronounced that. If you could state your full name and address for us.
Good evening. My name is Valerio Morabito. I'm a resident of Miami Beach, living in 1431 West 24th Street. The problem when approaching zoning and zoning resolution is that people tend to focus on height rather than focusing on massing or density or view corridor or architecture and design of the building that is proposed. I personally prefer much more slender tower rather than a bulky building. It allows for view corridors and it allows for more air between buildings. So it's a better proposition for the residents. I think this is a better proposition for the people living in the current building. We know that assessment has become impossible for some homeowners association. It seems to be the case for this building. And there's a very solid developer that has already developed a beautiful project in the same street, proposing substantial public benefit and finding a solution for a problem that it's objectively been there for a while and has not been resolved in the past years. So this is a solution that is real, is concrete, and we should take it. So this project has my full support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next person's screen name is iPhone. If you could just state your full name and address for us. Hi there, iPhone, if you could.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, my name is
Great.
Raleigh Smith. I live close by on 31 Venetian Way. I want to say I support this beautiful building and the completion of the Baywalk. I think this building, it'll bring an elegance to the neighborhood. The Bikini Hostel, we all know it's a disaster. I ride my bike there all the time, and I'm happy the developer will buy it and demolish it. So I'm in full support of the project. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next person's screen name is Marilyn. If you could state your full name and address for us. Hold on.
Hi, my name is Marilyn. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Thank you. My name is Marilyn J. I live at 1455 West Avenue. I please ask that you observe the residents, what they voted for as of right. There was a big backlash in this city when you're talking about the Waverly, the Flamingo, the Floridian, and you talk about looking at that skyline from the bay. It's not compatible. It's not compatible at all. They're completely sore thumbs. So on the one hand, we criticize 1960 ugly buildings, but on the other hand, we want to preserve the Deauville and the 1960s beautiful architectural design. I think the designer has done a beautiful job. I believe the architect is Kobe Karp. Has a beautiful entrance, reminiscent of the entrances of the 1950s hotels, 1960s hotels. It has a beautiful design. The only problem is the height. We're pedestrians. We live here. This is the street we walk on. You're saying people are leaving Miami Beach and you're building for millionaires. You're building for millionaires, okay? So the design is very pretty. The Bikini Hostel, who knows how that happened, okay? We didn't pass a tax. It was pulled, and it was, I don't know, there was some backlash. And then, so I live in this neighborhood. I walk in this neighborhood. I feel for everybody. I do, but we don't have to sell out when we have over the years. I mean, just recently, one after another, selling FAR at the expense of residents' quality of life. Bring the scale down. Keep your beautiful design. Bring it down lower. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Next up, Natalie K.
Hello, my name's Natalie Kaufman. I'm a neighbor at 1450 Lincoln Road. I walk this street almost every day. I walk the Baywalk. I support considerate development. I support development that respects the laws that we, the voters, chose to pass. And I have been counting on my elected officials to respect those laws and enforce those laws. And what I see here is that law and order does not apply to real estate developers. We do not need a tall building that smashes through our zoning height restrictions. We do not need it. We do not want it. Build a building within code and we will support it. I am completely opposed. I am also disgusted by the tricks of the developers and some of our elected officials who are sending us emails today saying, we don't need high rises, we need vision, but then turning around and voting in favor of this plan. This plan does not suit our neighborhood. We have been saying the same thing for months. We have been ignored. And now it is exactly what my neighbors have described. This is pay for play. This is buy your way into what you want. I don't dispute that the Bikini Hostel is a challenge for our neighborhood. That is for our elected officials to solve. That's why we hire them. Is it a hard job? Yes, it's public service, but that's why we vote for you and that's why you're in office. Do your jobs and uphold our laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Seeing that the time's now 7 o'clock, we do have quite a few people that have not spoken. So we're going to ask everybody if you could try to keep your comments within 1 minute. So that way everyone has an opportunity to speak. And of course, if you need additional time, we'll try to assist. I'm going to go to James. Get my timer back here. James, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jimmy Basson. I'm at 955 West Avenue. I lived on Miami Beach all my life, graduated Beach High many years ago, and I don't really understand how anyone can object to this development. It's really a no-brainer. It's a beautifully designed building that is elegant and graceful. We have an opportunity to remove a once-in-a-lifetime nuisance like the Bikini Hostel, and we're still debating this. What are we waiting for? A tragedy waiting to happen? People no longer want to live on West Avenue. Everyone's apartments are decreasing in value as we speak. And you guys are talking about height. The Waverly Flamingo are taller and much uglier. Let's get this going. Thank you for your time.
I'm muted. All right, thank you. Next, we have iPhone. If you could just state your full name and address for us.
Hello, it's Marin Milan. I'm a Miami Beach resident. I live at 1508 North Bay Road. I just want to give my full support for the project and removal of Bikini Hostel and homeless shelter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have iPhone 12. Again, if you could state your full name and address for us. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Oh, sorry. Let's try that. So again, screen name is iPhone 12. If you could just state your name and address. While you get that sorted, we'll come right back. I'm going to go to Jade or Jad. I apologize if I mispronounced that. You could state your full name and address for us. It's Jad Alam. Doesn't look like, yep, just unmute. Doesn't look like you have any audio. Just maybe check your connection. We'll come right back to you. All right, I'm gonna go to Gil. Jad, I've left your mic open, so once you get that sorted, we'll come back to you. Gil.
Hi, good evening. My name is Gil Talinchi. I am a all-year resident at 1330 West. I'll keep my comments brief. You know, we're all for progress, but I don't believe that the height of the building should be greater than the as of right. It would be out of character for the community, and many of the other callers have raised issues. And then the other thing I will just say is, like, I don't think that this project should in any way be tied to the Bikini Hostel. That is the responsibility of the local officials to address. And although it is an eyesore and it's a social concern, I don't feel unsafe. And as the father of a 17-year-old girl who walks the streets here, again, it's not ideal, but I don't feel safety is a big issue right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go back to Jad. Let's see if, looks like you unmuted, but I don't see any audio coming from you. You could go ahead, maybe check your speaker situation, your microphones, and then raise your hand and I'll come right back to you. I'm also going to come back to iPhone 12. It's going to request to unmute. Okay, we're going to go next to David Greenberg. David?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. Hi, I'm David Greenberg. I live at Monad Terrace, right next to 1250. Just really quickly, I want to voice my support for this project. I think the neighborhood has some serious issues. Bikini Hostel, we have to finish the Baywalk, and the situation at 1250 is obviously not good. And we have a world-class developer coming in with a very good solution for us. People are saying that there's a billion other solutions, but this is the only good one on the table. If there were a billion other solutions, there'd be at least one. This is a good solution. We should absolutely take it. I also find it odd when people in the Waverly and Flamingo are complaining about the potential height of the building. I think that's the least of the issues here. So strong support. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to next up. I have a screen name is Pablo. Pablo, if you could state your full name and address for us. I'm going to send a request to unmute there for Pablo. And Pablo, as you get unmuted, I'm going to try Jad one more time.
Hello.
Is that Pablo? Hey, Pablo.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm Pablo Ioanez, and I live here in the 1250, and I want to spread my full support for this project. The development is not just beneficial for us, the unit holders at the 1250. It is good for the entire neighborhood and for the safety of everyone involved. So, in reference with the Bikini Hostel, as a resident, walking around this area has become uncomfortable even during the day because I used to walk every day. We need to change it. We need safety, and yeah, that's my all support for this project. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pablo. I'm gonna go next up to Michael Walton. You can say your full name and address for us, Michael. I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Yes, my name is Michael Walton. My address is 441 Collins Avenue. However, I hang out on West Avenue nearly every day after work. And I just want to say that I haven't, based on what the elected officials and developers are proposing, there's some good and some bad. And I just don't think anybody has actually spent a lot of time on West Avenue in regard to 1255 West Avenue. There's two small businesses here that myself and a lot of friends after work, we like to go here for a happy hour and hang out. And that would not be possible if this became a park. And I know there's a homeless here and that situation is not good, but it's not horrible. So we're dealing with it. We put up so much good vibes here that it's not a problem. And so you would also displace two small businesses for West Ave and things to do for locals in this location. And I want to propose that this hostel could become affordable housing for city workers, municipal workers, teachers, firefighters. That could be one option on the table. I know it's not on the table. I'm just one voice, but consider doing something like that. All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michael. We're gonna go next up to Valentina's iPhone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi everyone. My name is Valentina Cini and I live in Miami Beach. I'm here today to express my strong support for this development and to speak about the urgent need to close the Bikini Hostel. We deserve to feel secure in our homes. We deserve to live in community where safety, peace, and respect are the norm. Supporting this new development is an important step toward protecting the integrity of our neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Valentina. We're gonna go try Jad one more time. Looks like we have a new. There we go.
Is it working now?
Yep.
Okay, great.
How's it going? Hello, guys. My name is Jad Elam. I'm a resident on West Avenue, and I'm full support of this project. It's a beautiful and elegant building, and I find it hard to oppose a building like that. It's also removing the bikini hostel is a must. And I was walking by the area the other week and was followed down the street by a man who I was even scared of as a 6 foot tall, full grown man. And I found it really surprising that a father was saying he was fine with his daughter walking by that area, considering that I was uncomfortable. So I think this is a great solution to that problem, and I'm in full support of the development.
Great, thank you so much. Glad that was working. Let's try Peter Mullen. It's going to send you a request to unmute there, Peter. So let's try one more time with Peter. We're going to leave you there as you get that sorted. We'll come right back to you, Peter. I have iPhone de Isabella. Isabella?
Hi, hello.
Hey there.
Hi, how are you? I'm Isabel, and I live as well in 1250 West Avenue. I just wanted to show my support for this project because this development is good for everyone, and I think this debate must stop. The 1250 unit holders and the neighborhood deserve safety, and they deserve to get their worth about their properties. And as a woman, it's impossible to walk the streets even in the mornings. It feels unsafe and harassing. So I hope this debate can end soon because it's a nightmare, and I just fully support this project.
Thank you, Isabella. I'm going to try Peter Mullen one more time. Peter? You just need to unmute yourself. It should have sent you a request there. Next, we're going to go Zalman Felig.
Hi, this is Rabbi Zalman Felig. I love the project that's being proposed compared to what's there now. People that have spoken, I think the developer is giving so many concessions to the city and to everyone. Working with all the people has been very, very cooperative, I mean, in every way. That's why I think all the commissioners was an unanimous vote to go move forward with the project. Those who say that the Bikini Hostel is a blown up story with the homeless people, I want to just tell you, I live between 41st and 47th on Pine Tree Drive. I had a homeless guy sleeping in front of my house on the couch. I took a video. He clearly said he flew, obviously he didn't fly, from the Bikini Hostel in front of my house. And I asked him kindly to please move. He didn't want to. The video I sent to Waynes Jones and all the commissioners, and everyone has the video, Eric Carpenter. But just to let you all know, this is not a simple thing to get rid of the Bikini Hostel. Eric Carpenter, the city manager, who's wonderful, he's been trying very hard to work with the county to get rid of the Bikini Hostel and the homeless. And nothing has worked. It's been going on for quite a while. Started off with 75, now there's over 150. My staff escorts them out of Sunset Harbor on a daily basis, defecating in the fresh market, on the parking space, on the parking floors, in the stairwells. I mean, I can go on and on and on how it's totally not blown up the situation with the homeless. And it's getting even worse. I don't want to say this, but don't wait, God forbid, for a tragic situation where a homeless guy takes one of my, God forbid, or a child. And I don't even want to finish my sentence. You have to be careful the words you put out there. So I think number one is that he's doing us a huge favor. He's overpaying like there's no tomorrow.
Thank you, Rabbi. We gave you an additional some time there. I'm going to go next to Enrique. Enrique, if you could just unmute there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Now again.
Yeah, Enrique Escobar. I live at 1200 West Avenue. I've been on the beach since 95. I was here for when we had the referendum citywide to restrict the height limits on West Avenue. It voted overwhelmingly. There was a reason for that. We didn't want what's going on now. This piece by piece of all of a sudden, these FARs are being released and height limits are no longer adhered to. It's the other problem I have with this basically is this whole bikini hostel thing. I remember just a few months ago when this thing all blew up, when we didn't pass the 1% tax in the city, and overnight the city dumped that homeless shelter, became there all of a sudden. Who is behind all that? How did that all of a sudden that become there, and all of a sudden we're in negotiation for FAR and using the bikini hostel as a sort of like, don't look here, look here. I don't know. This whole game is just, it's really bad. And anyway, I don't want the height limit change. There's no reason for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. I'm going to go back to Peter. Peter, I think your mic situation there is not working. Next up, we have Gail Durham.
Hello, my name is Gail Durham. I live at 1504 Bay Road. Just because you like the pictures of the new building doesn't mean it's going to be good for the neighborhood. This cannot be approved as proposed. People don't understand the rest of the proposal. Besides the height increase, the developer wants to increase the density, the FAR. He wants to triple it. So it's going to be like a huge curtain across that block where now there's open space and you can see air and sky and you can see the water in the bay. Second of all, the proposal reduces the setbacks. The north side tower and the south side of the tower, for a 300-foot tower, it should be a 41-foot setback per our zoning laws. But in this proposal, it's only a 26-foot setback. It's like half what should be required setback. And my last point is everyone's saying, oh, it's impossible for the commissioners to get rid of the bikini hostel. Well, guess what? If that's true, then it's impossible for the commissioners to prevent another homeless shelter from opening up in the other 13 dumpy hotels on West Ave. Did you know there's 13 other like 2 or 3 story dumpy hotels, and there's nothing from stopping them from being a homeless shelter. So it's going to be like whack-a-mole. So I hope this does not get approved. I hope we find another solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. I'm just going to ask everybody if we could try to keep our comments within 1 minute, just because we do have quite a few people left. I have Alex. Screen name is Alex. If you could state your full name and address for us.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, this is Alex. I live in 1200 West Ave, so I'm a couple doors down. I just wanted to say, I'm for, upgrades to the community. I am for new buildings on West Ave. But part of this feels a bit dishonest that, the deck that we walked through here has some renderings that show, the renderings of a new building that are right next to the Waverly, and show the Waverly Monad Terrace and the proposed building next to each other, where 2 out of the 3 or 4 buildings are the same height. And it feels dishonest because if you look down the rest of West Ave, there are another 10 buildings that are significantly smaller that aren't being shown. And developers are showing that these 2 renderings to say, oh, these buildings are in line with everything else here. And I don't think that's accurate. And, same thing, just framing wise, showing assessments for 1250. Yes, maybe the building is underwater. Maybe those finances are difficult to overcome for people that live in the building, but it doesn't mean that we have to break height requirements and go beyond as of right heights. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Alex. Next up, I have Rima. Rima, if you could say your full name and address for us.
Sure. My name is Rima Gerhard, and I reside across the street from the proposed development at Golden West. I have a question that I had emailed the commissioners with this question after the previous meeting on April 28th, but I never received an answer. My question was regarding garbage pickup. Monad Terrace right now is having their garbage pickup on West Avenue. This is very unsightly. It leaves a trail of, garbage disposal residue. I'm not sure if this was approved like this or if they are just doing it in this way. Since this is the same developer, I would like to make sure that the same thing does not happen with this new development. And essentially my question is, yeah, where is the garbage pickup? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rima. Just a reminder at the end, the applicant's team is going to be responding to any questions that may have come up during the discussion. I'm going to go next to Rosalie. I apologize if I mispronounced that. If you could state your full name and address for us. And Rosalie, if should ask you to unmute there. As you get unmuted, I'm going to try Brian. Brian Kim. Oh, I think I might have muted you, Brian. Let's try one more time. All right, Rosalie or Brian, whoever unmutes first. If
Oh,
not,
sorry.
there you
Can you
go.
hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I think the irony of this is the reason that I oppose it, as well as others that have already said it more eloquently than I can, is the very words of our developer representative saying that other buildings too have done this. And so I think that, yes, you can hear me. Yeah, I think
we can
that
hear you.
okay, thank you. That using other buildings as a reference of why this should pass is precisely the reason why we don't want that to happen. The referendum was passed for a reason, to keep height restriction to what it is. No one opposes development, but develop the lot within the law that's already in place.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate your comments. I'm going to try Rosalie one more time. I see your hand came back. You just need to unmute yourself. And as you get that sorted, let me go on to Susanna. Susanna, it's going to ask you to unmute there. Oh, we can't hear you if you're speaking, so go ahead and unmute. Susanna, there you go.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
First of all, I would like to call out the city officials and commissioners that are not on this call and have events at the same time and fundraisers for themselves. It's not very, it's a little tone deaf because a lot of us are here existentially worried about their future. So the least thing they could do is listen to us or read our emails, which also doesn't always happen. Once again, I would like to emphasize that the Bikini Hostel and this project are not connected. We need to disconnect those two projects. We can solve our own problems. We, as a city, have rules and regulations, and everyone has to stick to them, bomb or billionaire. No one is above the law. Our mayor is running on a law and order platform, and he has gotten rid of the mayhem that was spring break. So this little small business here should not be a problem for him as well. It's not the nuisance and danger it is portrayed as. We are being gaslighted big time. And everybody who's spoken before me and said they're afraid walking by there, I walk by there at least 4 times a day. Go ahead and speak to these gentlemen and ladies that are there and say hello, because they will not address you first. You will have to speak to them first. There's no catcalling. There is no following one. You don't have to be afraid. Like my predecessor said, he has a 17-year-old daughter. She can walk by there without any problems. There's none of that. And calling them defecators in the public or in Fresh Market is very inhumane. And I hope our homeless committee is going to look into this.
Thank you, Susanna. I gave you a few extra seconds there. I'm going to go to Dilo. If you could say your full name and address for us. Next up, we have Ari. If you could say your full name and address for us. Dilo, if you could unmute. We got Ari first,
Hello?
and then, hello, Dilo?
Yes, hi.
Hey there, hey.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So my name is Dilo Murad. I'm a resident of Miami Beach almost 15 years now. Father of a 10-year-old and a business owner in Sunset Harbor. And I do support this project, and especially totally against that whole hostel and homeless shelter, because that's causing us a lot of damage, business, and also whoever is saying that it's not dangerous is probably not facing any of those issues. Then what we experienced so far. So I would definitely support this project 100% and would really like to have that been taken care of because we don't want to wait until something happens. Thank you very much for your time. And
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have Ari. You are unmuted. It's going to ask you to unmute there.
Hi, my name is Ariana Guerrero. I've been living at the Mirador for over 20 years. I'm in support of progress and beautiful development for West Avenue, but I do agree with those who have stated that the Bikini Hostel issue is the responsibility of our city officials, and especially if it's going to open the door for additional possible homeless shelters in the neighborhood. And, you know, I think one of my bigger concerns too is that just a reminder that Monad Terrace was a strip of 2-story cottages, and enough developer concessions were made to increase the FAR limit to allow a tower the size of the Monad building that we see now. I think that the developer coming back and not wanting to do a building that equals what we gave him for the Monad Terrace, and instead trying to really raise that FAR rate again, I think is a little bit disingenuous. And I was hoping that he would be more willing to give back to the community for what we've already given to him. That's.
Thank you so much. Next up, Kevin Kruger. Kevin's going to ask you to unmute there.
Afternoon, everybody. Kevin Kruger, 1215 West, across the street with the retail. Looking for clarity. I understand when they touched on the design of the parking, and I think it's 125 units. I'm wondering how many parking spaces they'll have inside. That's pretty much it. Question for Michael and his team.
Great, and we'll get to those responses at the end. Corrine, I'm going to ask you to unmute there.
Hi there, my name's Corinne Kirkland. I live at 1345 West Avenue. And like the previous speaker, Susanna, who lives literally across the street from the hostel, I walk past them constantly. I walk to Whole Foods, I walk to the marina. They do not disturb me. And if I say hello, they say hello back to me privately. What disturbs me is that a developer and this hostel, but the owners of Bikini, can use this for their pleasures to increase FAR when we do not want the FAR increased. We voted against it. He needs to build to right, and the city needs to manage the issue with hostels turning into homeless shelters, because as has been previously said, if one person can do this, they can do it to several other places along West Avenue, and we don't want to see that happening, and we don't want to see a developer and a hostel Bikini use these issues to blackmail us. This needs to stop.
Thank you, Corrine. The screen name is Enrique. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Yes, Enrique, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, yes, Enrique, 1200 West Avenue. Been a resident owner here since 2001. Became the owner in 2005, but yes, just going back with the Bikini Hostel. Yes, that's a sore eye on West Avenue, and it's like the developer, he's probably just enticing us with doing a park or whatever he has in mind, just so that he can get his project going. And then, you know, so that's a typical developer trick, you know, get what they want and give us what we might want. But at the end, they never follow through. You know, it'll change up. Even with the slides that they showed, a lot of that is not going to apply. It's going to change as the project progresses. There will be serious traffic jams here on Small West Avenue. It's a two-way street going either north or south. There were people that were commenting that would live way out of the area, North Bay Village, Venetian.
Thank you, Enrique. I'm going to go next up to Ryan.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Ryan Skolnick, 4775 Collins Avenue. First, I just want to say, I heard this woman say the developer is blackmailing people. That's absolutely absurd. The developer is doing his job, trying to build a beautiful project, and he's also the commissioner's job looking to get rid of this bikini hostel, which is an eyesore for everyone in the neighborhood. It's not his job to do that. He's doing it for the neighborhood to make the neighborhood better for everyone. 1250 is underwater. The tenants have said it. That's why they're all so willing to take the buyout. It's in line with the other buildings in the area. It's not taller than any other building on West Ave. And I think that development is great for the city. We're a pro-development city. We're the premier city in the United States. And I hope this project gets off the ground as quick as possible.
Thank you so much. Next up, Shakira's iPhone.
Hi, my name is Shakira. I'm a Miami Beach resident writing to express my support for the 1250 project. I believe this development is not only architecturally thoughtful and respectful of its surrounding, but it also presents a valuable opportunity to enhance the safety and well-being of the neighborhood. As a woman, I felt uneasy with the current state of the Bikini Hostel, which operates as a temporary shelter. While I deeply respect the need for compassionate solutions for our homeless population, I also believe they deserve a more appropriately located and better resourced environment, one that can truly support their needs long term. I appreciate the developer has committed to purchasing this property and closing the shelter. I hope this transition is made with dignity and care for all involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, Christopher Thomas. Christopher, can you hear us?
Yes, actually, this is Pamela Thomas.
Hi, Pamela.
Hi. I would like to say that we very much do not want this building in our neighborhood. I live at 1330 West Avenue, and it amazes me that the people who seem to be objecting to it are coming down and taking time from their busy day to object to something when they live on 47th Street. Like, what is up with that? The people from this neighborhood are telling you time and time again that we do not have a problem with these people from the hostel harassing us. There was not really much of a problem with the Bikini Hostel until the homeless were moved, not at their request, into this building. And to think that this is going to have now a building that we don't want for the next 100 years because of this little tiny business on the corner, and that the city commission says they can't do anything about it. Really? What about the city manager? What about anybody? Why can no one do anything about this except Michael Stern? That seems very odd to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. Dahlia's iPad. Dahlia, I'm going to try Michael C.
Is that you?
Hello,
Yep.
can you hear?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, my
Yeah.
name is Mike. They say I live at 800 West Avenue. I've lived here about 30 years. And, hearing some of my neighbors like Enrique and Alex and Corinne, everything they're saying is so accurate. We all want to see the neighborhood look better. Certainly a brand new building with great architectural details is going to look better than an older building that's there. That goes without saying. But this whole issue of the Bikini Hostel being turned into a park, it is so disingenuous. It is such a scam in terms of, take your eyes off this and put your eyes on that. I think what my other neighbors have said, I agree with. Certainly, not most of us who live in the neighborhood do not like the Bikini Hostel there, do not like the homeless there. There's different opinions as to whether it's safe or unsafe. At the end of the day, it is an eyesore. A lot of us in the neighborhood aren't happy with it, but it shouldn't be promised to build a park so that we allow a change in FAR and density that is out of line with the area.
Great, thank you so much, Michael, for those comments. And with that, that's going to conclude our public comment and Q&A portion of the meeting. I'm going to ask Melissa, she's going to go ahead and go through the response/rebuttal. If you could just touch on maybe next steps, or if Michael Belushi, if you could help with that. Melissa?
Thank you very much, Kevin. So first, zoning is not for sale. What is being proposed here is a public-private partnership. The city administration, following first reading of the overlay, is studying the entitlements as it relates to public benefits in order to ensure that public benefits are commensurate with the entitlements and development rights provided. This is not a trick. The developer and many developers throughout South Florida, the country, the world, have a history of creating win-wins. In fact, this is something that is welcome in most local governments. Second, there was no referendum on height. In 1998, the City Commission voted to downzone height legislatively. At every commission meeting, codes change, and developers, property owners, whether single-family homeowners or large-scale developers like this, go through a process, a codified process, to exercise their rights to petition government. And that is what's happening here. The developer has made a development proposal and is proposing a win-win with the city of Miami Beach and its neighbors. Specifically, we are proposing less density, less massing. Height is not evil. In fact, as many neighbors and residents spoke today, they're more concerned about massing and scale than with height in this case. The Waverly, as was brought up as an example, is 335 feet tall, plus it has a 25-foot tall parapet. That is a total of 360 feet. Our slides specifically showing the West Avenue context included all the buildings within the West Avenue, including the Five Park, as well as the Icon Continuum to the south, all the way to Flamingo Point to the north. We've been transparent throughout this process and in representing Mr. Stern for a very long time now. He is very transparent and open to speaking with anyone who has interest in his projects. The project is proposing 250 parking spaces for just over 100 units. The garbage will be internalized as it is internalized for Monad Terrace that was built by JDS. There is simply an issue with operations, of which we've committed to work with the Monad Terrace Association to ensure that that problem does not continue. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Michael Stern if he has just a few final words.
Thank you, Melissa. No, I think you covered everything. I just want to thank everybody for taking their time on this Monday night to listen to us and consider what we have to say. And if anyone has any follow-up questions, they're free to reach out to either the city, of course, or us by email. We'd set up an email address, 1250west@jdsdevelopment.com, and we're happy to engage in any further discussions directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stern. And finally, just Mr. Michael Belush, if you could just walk us through, again, just public process and next steps.
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. And thanks to the 41 callers who spoke today and gave us their opinions. This proposal will next be reviewed by the City Commission on May 21st. So I invite everybody to attend that meeting virtually or in person and hear comments from the Commission, city staff, and from the developer again on May 21st. Thank you.